All right, welcome back to the Spread Zone, sponsored by FanDuel. My name is Riz. As always, we've got Tim McKernan and we've got Anthony Stalter, or Tony Stalter this week. I don't know what we're calling you.
I think it's Anthony this week. No plays this week, so
All right,
lab.
So what we'll do is we'll recap last week's Super Bowl card, our card.
Yes.
Some of the Super Bowl 60 betting stories, and then maybe our early Super Bowl 61 futures. But let's start with the final score for Super Bowl 60, Seahawks 29, Patriots 13. This game was basically a dream script for underbettors for 3 quarters. And then, fellas, it got sweaty late.
Boy, did it ever.
The under 45.5 was a book-friendly result most of the way. And the public was heavy Seattle leading up to kickoff. And Seahawks did control the game.
Dominated.
I mean, was it a boring Super Bowl?
One of the worst, brother. One of the absolute worst.
I guess it depends on
and that's coming
who you're on.
from two guys who did well, but still can call it what it was, which was awful.
Anybody that listened to the podcast last week knows that was what. I can't speak for you guys. That was what I expected.
Well,
so
we were on
the Patriots, but we were on the under, and we were in our group text talking about it at halftime. The first half under was 23.5, sweat-free.
Yeah.
We were all on that. So I think we wound up being above 500 on plays we were all on, by the way.
Well, good.
So that's a surprise. Riz and I were on the Patriots. You were on the Seahawks, but we were also all on the under for the game, and we expected it. It's very rare in these big, glamorous games that what you expect to happen happens. As far as the pace of game, we obviously were on the Patriots, but the pace of game and it being a Super Bowl that had little anticipation, and somehow it delivered on its low expectations, or it maybe have exceeded the low expectations. Mm-hmm. It truly is one of the worst that I can recall in my lifetime, which I know sounds ridiculously hyperbolic, but it sucked, man. It sucked.
Yeah, and well, you didn't have the big time players either. So like last year when Philly got up big, you hung with it because you figure Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are eventually going to come back in this thing. Similar to that beatdown that Tampa Bay had on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the COVID season. You just thought eventually Kansas City would get back in it, so I'll hang around.
Nobody had any hope for
Nobody had any hope for New England.
He had that look, he had that 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah.
From the moment he got the ball, like he was in way over his head. What was the huge swing moment for you as a bettor?
Without question. I mean, it was the moment, I think, and that's Kenneth Walker breaking off what would have been the touchdown that covered the over.
Yep.
And I was on the under.
I was.
I mean, we were invested. We weren't just on it on here. We were invested. And I saw that and I go, you got to be kidding me, for a game that was 9-0 at the half and now it's going over.
Yeah.
And then I saw the flag, and I got to say, even though I was a financial beneficiary and as was Anthony, I didn't think it was the right call, got to be honest with you, but I'm thrilled that it was called.
Well, that 49-yard touchdown call back for holding, that single flag, I mean, prevented flips on totals and props. I mean, that one play, and and we'll get to it later, there was another weird play with Sam Darnold and a prop that had people talking.
Oh, my.
When the wave of emotion when Kenneth Walker burst through the line and he's running, there was a moment where I thought to myself, "Oh, he's gonna go down. He's gonna take a knee," because he kind of slowed up, and then I'm like, "There's no way he's gonna run in. You can put a bow on this thing," and he kept going. We looked at the crowd and he's doing that. I'm like, "Oh my God!" The under was golds all night long. But the one thing that we brought up last week was what? Well, the one thing that could cost us.
The defensive touchdown.
The defensive touchdown.
Which I also was on, and that was, I got to thank, I don't thank Anthony, I thank that Tony Stalter guy. He said, if you're going under, hedge with the defensive touchdown, and we got both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them.
See, the turning point I thought was the defensive touchdown. That's when I first went, I got to do some math. That was the first time I started to do some math in my head. I'm like, okay, you could give up 2 touchdowns. You can't give up 3.
Yeah.
And when Walker was rolling in, I go, this is unbelievable.
Well,
you heard a dark place for 10
man.
seconds.
And then the Patriots got the ball back, of course. And they're going down the field a little bit. And like, are you serious?
Low scoring through 3 quarters tends to kill like the yes and over everything prop cards. And the books generally root for nothing happens. And that's what was early. It was field goals.
Nothingness.
Nothingness. All right, so let's recap the spread zone picks from last week. So, Tim, if you would.
Well,
got the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to do this. Literally at the top of the spreadsheet, boys. It was the Patriots Seahawks under 45.5, and about 8 lines down on the spreadsheet, Patriots Seahawks first half under 23.5, and all of us were on both of those plays. So those were wins right out of the gate. One of which, the latter, was sweat free because it was 23.5 and it was 9-0 at the half.
Yep.
Sweat-free.
Was that Riz and I's lock as well, the under?
I got to tell you, this is the first time, and I guess it's the last football episode of the Spread Zone 2025-2026 season. I didn't type in your lock.
We did lock that.
You guys locked that?
We did lock that. Count it.
Okay. I got a Riz on Drake May under 220.5 passing yards. In mine, the largest lead of the game under 14.5, which did not hit.
That's right.
Did not hit. Fortunately, I didn't play it, though.
Okay.
But we all won on the Patriots Seahawks under, and then also the first half under. Riz, you and I were on the Patriots. Nothing doing.
I know, missed that.
Anthony was on the Seahawks. Big winner. Another play that I made, Rashid Shaheed, over 20 receiving yards. That got home. Drake May, under 36.5 rushing yards. I did our accounting after the game, honestly not remembering that which I didn't actually wager on. I go, I think that covered. And then I look and I saw he got to 37 rushing yards. So it did not by a half a yard. That's kind of been a theme that you were dealing with, these half yards and half points. Patriots team with the most offensive plays and most time of possession. That absolutely lost. Patriots and Drake May under 220.5 passing yards. That lost. That was a Stalter play.
That lost.
That's done. Did you and I both?
You guys were both on that. You guys were. That was Riz's lock.
I did. That was my lock?
Yeah, that's what I got in here.
Okay, well, you're probably right.
There may have been some bad accounting. Oh, and then also we did a bunch of prop plays that had high odds. But one that was a golden one, you deserve credit for, Kenneth Walker MVP.
There you go.
That was one, fist in the air for me.
Yes, that was a nice play, man. Nice play there. So you won on that one. What wound up happening with the national anthem? I was out picking up food with one of my kids.
Over 119 seconds, I believe.
Okay, you were on the under.
Damn it.
On that one. Anthony, this is stunning considering the way the game played out. Player with higher passer rating, you were on Darnold.
Yeah.
And Drake May had the higher passer rating.
Oh, wow.
How about that? Who would have thought?
And all because of the fourth quarter.
Color of the Gatorade, by the way?
Yellow.
I
think we because we threw, these weren't official plays.
Yeah,
I think I threw out blue.
Stephon Diggs under 17.5 yards, longest reception. That was a loss. I guess he did have one.
Oh, really? Yeah, I guess he had one late. Again, fourth quarter. I think he had
Is that where he got it?
Pass play late.
Riz, you were on Ramondre Stevenson, under 12.5 yards, longest rush. That was a win. Sam Darnold, over 19.5 completions. Anthony, that was a loss. Riz, over 18.5 carries for Kenneth Walker. That was a win. Comfortable win, too. Sweat-free, brother.
What was the number in the completions? 19.5?
Let's see. 19.5 completions.
He had 19.
That's correct. Half. Another half. These halves, man.
That's
telling
unbelievable.
you, brother. Travion Henderson, over 5.5 rushing attempts. I don't have the accounting on that. Somebody was on it.
I believe that was me.
That was you?
Wow.
And then Kenneth Walker, over 2.5 receptions. He got 2, Anthony.
2, halved.
That's a loss.
I got halved.
You got halved again. Jake Bobo, over 0.5 yards. Halved again.
When Jackson Smith and Jigba was out for most of the game, I saw a lot of Bobo. And Cup caught a couple of passes, and I go, which white guy is that?
Wrong white man.
They threw to. Yeah.
So that one did not cover.
Jeez.
The props, the big prop winner here is Riz. I mean, with that Kenneth Walker MVP play, I tip my cap. Nice hit.
There you go.
I'm looking for the Travion Henderson over 5.5 rush attempts.
I don't think he got there.
I don't think he got there.
They started to use him a little bit.
Here was the prop.
No, he had 6.
Oh, he got 6.
He had 6 carries.
Whoever had it, you got home.
You had it.
Okay, so here's the prop that had everybody talking. Was Sam Darnold over 6.5 rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
He broke off an 11-yard run, which had everybody thinking,
This is a brutal beat.
safe.
Yeah, these are rough.
Yeah.
Everybody going, we're safe on this one. He had a kneel down that brought him under 6.5 rush yards.
And that run came in like the second quarter.
Well, it was a broken play.
Yeah.
Well, it was the kneel down. He gave himself up. So it was supposed to be handoff, broken play. He wound up giving himself up to then be under 6.5.
The run that he had to go over was
early in the game.
So
you're thinking you already got it.
Yeah. So something freakish would have to happen, and lo and behold, it did.
Oh.
On the final possession for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't think about that.
Brutal beat.
That was a brutal beat. That had people going, rigged. That had people going rigged because it was almost like he went exactly far enough back and gave himself up to
that was and I thought that was weird too, because I thought all Seattle needed was a first down and they win the game. Now they're going to win the game regardless, but the way they played that final drive was weird.
I agree with you.
They had a run. Kenneth Walker had the big run.
Then they get the hold.
You had the hold. You brought it back, and then the Darnold play happened. It's like they wanted to give the ball back to New England. It felt like. Now, granted, they got the timeouts and everything out, but New England still had the ball with just under 2 minutes left, and we're all sitting there with the under ticket, and we're like, "Oh my God,
we're sweating over here.
Is this really going to happen? 9-0 at half? Is this really going to happen? Where the freaking over hits?"
You know, I think with some of these quarterback rush yards bets, you got to do the kneel math. You got to beware the kneel math late.
I agree with that.
Because, those props are going to be impacted by kneels, attempts versus yards. I didn't take that into account. I wouldn't have thought about that.
Even if you get, what do you have, 11 yards?
Yeah.
So a kneel down, 1, maybe 2.
Maybe 2.
That's it. And
what's victory formation? Usually two kneel downs?
Yeah, you take, Yep.
So let's say 3 or 4 yards, the most.
That's when you hope they put Drew Lock in there. And he takes the victory.
Nobody gets hurt.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's how we did, and we did okay, right?
Oh yeah, Riz, you had a really good day.
We did okay.
Props, you did well. I covered the game. You covered the props. Tim sprinkled some good ones in there.
But we all three of us hit on the combined under 45.5, and then the first half under 23.5. I hit on Drake made 2 interceptions at plus 310. What was the Walker odds on the MVP? Do you guys recall?
I don't know.
Okay.
It wasn't astronomical.
Yeah,
it was still plus. I think it was probably got plus 110, 115, something like that. If it wasn't going to be Darnold, it was probably going to be Walker, but you got plus odds. Another play that I didn't see until after we did the podcast that I really liked, Kenneth Walker to be the leading rusher at halftime was only minus 135. Wow. I didn't see that until after we recorded, like it was before the game. I go, that's those minus 135 on a prop like that.
So who are the alternatives outside of the two obvious?
Stevenson, that's it.
Right. You're going Stevenson, and then Henderson's going to get some touches, but not to the point where it would be.
Walker MVP was plus 135.
Okay, good.
Nice hit.
Nice, yeah.
Nice
135 on that.
Better than I thought.
Listen, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about some of the best stories from the books, the $1 million bets, the octopus sweat, which is something I didn't know about until Sunday, and the props that got absolutely nuked. It's the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. All right, welcome back to the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. Let's look at some of these Super Bowl 60 mega bets. So the website Circa took 2 separate $1 million Patriots moneyline bets right before the game.
Woo!
And became the biggest Seahawks fan. Circa did. Became the biggest Seahawks fan of that Sunday. What's the lesson there? Big bets can make books need totally different outcomes than than what the public narrative would be.
It's intriguing. They clearly didn't want to move the market, so they got it in right at the end. Liked where the numbers were. The number held throughout the week, at least as far as spreads and totals go.
No, you're right. Even money line, there wasn't a lot of movement.
4.5 and 45.5, and it never really moved. I thought that we were going to see somebody come in and move the market about 24 hours out. That's what happened in the Indiana-Miami National Championship game in college football, but it never happened in the Super Bowl.
Boy, if you're Circa too, you think about that. You take all this action on Seattle minus 4.5. And then you get the couple of big New England money line plays. You're almost rooting for New England to just cover but not win.
Yeah.
If you're taking that much action, because you're getting all this flood of Seahawk money on minus 4.5, but the two big ones are going to be the money line. I mean, I'm sure they were fine to pay out the Seattle ones after taking $2 million on the two separate New England money line plays.
Also, so I didn't know about this octopus bet, which is a touchdown and a 2-point conversion by the same player.
Ah, okay, that's what it is. I haven't heard of this either.
So an octopus bet is a touchdown and a 2-point conversion by the same player. And Stevenson scored and then failed at the 2-point conversion.
That was a heck of a catch too. That shoestring catch that he had.
Yeah.
I don't remember the 2-point. Was that a pass?
I believe so.
It didn't get home.
It was a pass, and both players ran into each other hard and were down.
You know who got the octopus in the NFC Championship game? I think it was the NFC Championship game. Maybe it was the divisional round. Was Devontae Adams? He scored a touchdown and then immediately caught the 2-point conversion. Now it's got to be on the same drive, right? You can't. Yeah,
it's got to be the same drive.
I'm pretty sure Devontae Adams accomplished that in one of the playoff games.
Some of the books were also sweating the no touchdown props.
Oh, really? What were no touchdown props paying?
They were paying pretty well until Darnold to Barner, a touchdown made it 19-0.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't think about that either. That's a good play. I wish I'd hindsight, of course, but I wish I handed out more first half plays.
Yeah.
Under Sam Darnold's passing yards first half, under Drake May, because we called it. We knew it was going to be a slow-paced game. It was going to be low scoring. Instead of playing the full game, we could have got in on, some first quarter stuff. I think the first quarter total was 7.5. That under hit as well. I don't know. Something to think about for next year, boys.
Yeah.
Well, also to think about next year, if we're betting a defensive slugfest, which we were, you took a defensive prop?
Yeah.
Do you know what that was paying out by any chance? That defensive?
Which one are we talking?
The defensive or special teams TD?
Yeah. It was plus 500 on the Seahawks and plus 900 on the Patriots, and I played both, and I was rewarded on one.
Good.
Pick six. Yeah. Would a pick six hit? So if you're betting a defensive slugfest, don't forget to, a defensive scoring prop is something to.
That was
they're
really
volatile, but correlated with the game environment. Which
that was an astute play.
Well, thank you, sir.
Last week, as far as both hedging, but then also logic.
Yeah,
that was a smart play. If we're going to go heavy on the under, what can blow up an under is a defensive touchdown.
Absolutely.
And it was paying well, and it made sense. And man, it was pretty clear. I don't know if you've seen the video. Who had the interception for the Seahawks? Notre Dame guy.
Oh, Love.
Fourth year. Love. That's
Julian
right.
Love.
He's on the sidelines. This is incredible audio. It's brilliant. And he is sitting there going, he's talking to one of his cohorts in the secondary and going, young quarterback, man, we got him. He's going boom, boom, boom with his steps. And the minute he hits his back foot, he's checking for the guy that he's locked in on, and we know where he's going.
Right. Wow.
And then sure enough, a quarter later, he picks it off, runs it back, gets knocked out of bounds. So they were dialed in on his tells, kind of like a pitcher tipping his pitches. The Seahawks secondary was on Drake May, in addition to the fact that Drake May had no protection.
That was rough. It was the first time I felt bad for a quarterback.
Who, by the way, was one vote away from getting the MVP.
And good thing he didn't win either. You look at what Matthew Stafford did against that Seattle defense, 3 games.
Multiple times, yep.
And Drake May looked, as you noted, Riz, like a deer in the headlights. And I'm not blaming him. He got no protection. Right. And I don't think he wasn't ready.
But, what's so strange about this is about a month and a half ago, boys, Phillip Rivers comes off the sidelines from coaching a high school team, and he nearly beats the Super Bowl champions in that defense, and it took a late field goal for Seattle to beat them. I don't know how to explain what transpired here with Seattle, which really needed some friendliness from the Rams on that Thursday night game.
Yeah.
With Charbonnet just picking up a ball sitting there that actually led to the home field advantage that could have dictated who wound up winning the Super Bowl. As crazy as that is.
Speaking of protection, they're saying that, that left tackle, Will Campbell, probably had the worst game of any offensive lineman in the history of football.
Yeah, he was bad. He had the guard too for New England, the one that was wearing the Guardian cap. I mean, there was one play where it got whistled before the snap. He got pushed all the way back. No, actually, it was a sack. He got pushed all the way back into Drake May, and that's how the sack occurred. The old line was completely overmatched for New England. But New England's still in a rebuild. That's the point. They were dead last year. They had no business winning the way they did, but they got the easiest schedule. The Chargers lined up well. The Texans with C.J. Stroud was a gift, and then they didn't have to face Bo Nix. It just, unfortunately, everything unraveled for them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And bad for football fans, too.
And bad for football fans.
A Seahawks fan.
All right, so let's take one final break. We come back, we'll talk Super Bowl 61 futures. Super Bowl winner for next year. I'm going to ask for a conference pick, maybe an MVP pick. All right, so think about that over the break. It's the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. All right, welcome back to the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. All right, we're talking early Super Bowl 61 futures. So, Anthony, I want you to make your pick for the Super Bowl 61 winner.
Wow. You are asking almost as far out in advance as you possibly can.
Fun. This is
but you're
fun.
Tony Stalter.
No, I'm Anthony.
Fun.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back to Anthony?
I'm back to Anthony.
Now I got to short the market?
Yep, you got to short it. In the NFC, a team, if we're going for fun, what do we just talk about with the Patriots? Patriots they played a last place schedule and really benefited from it. How about the Lions in the NFC?
I like your logic, man.
Because they finished fourth in the NFC North. They finished fourth behind, I think Minnesota got third. So Lions are going to play a last place schedule. They're good enough to make the playoffs. A team usually, once they have high expectations and they fail to meet those expectations, it's usually a year or two where nobody sees them coming and they win. So I'll take the Lions in the NFC.
The Lions, you're at plus 1,600.
Beautiful. All right, so I'm getting good odds there.
Yeah.
Who's getting the worst odds? Just off the top of your head.
Jets.
The Jets, plus 25,000.
Yeah.
Browns have got to be second worst, right?
Browns, no. Surprisingly, the Browns are plus 12,500. The Dolphins.
Oh, okay.
It's the Jets, Dolphins, Cardinals, Saints, Panthers, Titans, Raiders, Browns.
The AFC is going to be tricky because you've got the injuries. You got the injuries to Mahomes. I don't know. You got some transition going on with Baltimore. New England likely to take a step back because, I mean, where are you going to go? Unless you win the thing, you're going to take a step back. Denver, I don't know. They won a lot of close games this year. That tends to go the other way the following year. So give me the Lions. Why don't you give me the two miserable franchises right now? Give me the Lions and Bills.
The Lions and the Bills.
Yeah.
All right, so the Lions, you got a plus 1,600, and the Bills to win. The Bills to win the AFC.
Yeah.
Plus 550.
Yeah, probably not getting the odds on that one.
On that. Tim, what do you got?
Well, I am coming off of what I would consider to be the most successful futures podcast of anybody in the world.
Wow.
Not just the
Do
studio.
tell.
Well, I picked the Commanders to win the Super Bowl. And I picked Clemson to win the national championship and compete with South Carolina.
Oh.
So, I mean, everything, not only was I wrong, but I was like wrong by the end of September wrong.
You were wrong 3 weeks in.
So now let's dig in. I have to tell you, I do like the logic of the scheduling with the Lions.
Jump on it.
I do like that.
Plenty of room.
If I were to go, okay, I got to throw money on it, Riz, I'd go with the LA Rams. I got one, and I think when I say it, I think I might activate your synapses here. Ooh. The Jacksonville Jaguars on the AFC side.
I could see that.
I think that's trending up, and they have some depth to that offensive attack. So there would be my plays if I were to have to make a play. And I agree, the AFC might be in a transition period.
Talk to me here. If they got past the Bills, which they were competitive,
That thing was up for grabs.
if they got past Buffalo, do we know where they would have gone from there? Would it have been Denver?
So they were hosting the Bills.
Right.
So that was 4-5 then?
So the Bills would have been a wild card. So they would have been eliminated. Would they have hosted they wouldn't have hosted the Texans,
No.
right? Maybe the Texans.
Because it was Broncos Patriots.
You know what? It probably would have been Jacksonville, New England. And I wonder if they could get past New England.
And I would have loved to have seen it.
It's not a bad play.
Yeah, I think that's trending up. I also think if you're talking about a value standpoint, I don't think Jacksonville leaps to the people's front of mind as long as you still have Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Drake May now has a lot of attention.
Joe Burrow.
And understandably so. And Joe Burrow. Yeah, and what's going to go on in Cincinnati. So that would be one that flies under the radar. To win the Super Bowl, by the way, I'm seeing Riz plus 2,000. For the Jaguars, and then to win the conference. I mean, they're not even listed in the top 6. You got to do some scrolling, plus 1,000.
You see who FanDuel's got in the Super Bowl next year. They got Baltimore and Seattle.
I mean, that would make sense. You brought up something before the podcast that was astute. You're going to lose Clint Kubiak, the offense coordinator.
Yeah.
He took the Raiders job. He's going to work with Mendoza. By the way, if we're doing this game, give me the Raiders over whatever their team total is going to be.
Wow, how about that?
Because they're going to be improved. They're going to have a coach that knows what he's doing. If Mendoza is the real deal and they have a good draft, I could see them winning 5 or 6 games.
Franchise I can't wait to watch next year.
Yeah.
The Raiders, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so for me, I got winning the Super Bowl next year would be the Rams at plus 800.
Cup.
Again, because of Seattle's off-season uncertainty. I'm not saying Seattle can't repeat, but I'm saying at similar prices. So the Seahawks are at 750, the Rams are at 800. I want the team I think has the cleanest, repeatable offensive structure. So give me the Rams at plus 800. And then for the AFC conference winner, give me the Rams. I'm sorry, give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs at plus 750.
How about that?
Yeah, it just depends on Mahomes.
Well, I'm buying Mahomes at a number we don't usually see, and I'd rather be early than late.
Yeah.
Plus 750.
Mahomes is plus 1,100 to be your NFL MVP.
Give me your MVP pick.
If you want to go for a miracle, we were just talking about him. Fernando Mendoza leads the Raiders to glory. Plus 15,000, Riz, on that.
Smoke.
Do you know the last rookie to win the NFL MVP?
Peyton Manning. No, he didn't.
No, they
didn't have it. Yeah, he led the league in interceptions that year.
Yes.
It wasn't Lamar because he only played half a year.
My hint will be you got to go a ways back.
It's funny to see on FanDuel's website,
Dan Marino.
Seeing Fernando Mendoza listed on here without a little jersey next to his name. Not even.
We're operating the premise he's silver and black.
Right.
Jim Brown, 19 and 57.
Wow.
Technically not even
Holy
the
smokes.
NFL that we know and love now.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Odds on favorite to win MVP is Josh Allen at plus 600, Lamar Jackson at plus 750. But give me, for NFL MVP, Drake May at plus 850.
He's going to respond.
I would
listen. Even after that performance in the Super Bowl, the market still respects him at plus 850.
I would choose the Patriots if you're looking for a long shot play. I would choose the Patriots to not make the playoffs next year.
Whoa!
Wow, you shorten the market.
Well, the Super Bowl loser tends to feel it.
Oh, I'm telling you, boy, isn't that the truth, man?
Kansas City this year don't make the playoffs. Granted, Mahomes got hurt, but he didn't get hurt until later. They were on the verge of not making the playoffs as it is.
Right when that happened.
Yeah. When the Bengals lost to the Rams, well, I guess they went back to the AFC title game. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know that the Super Bowl loser tends to struggle.
Do you want to make an MVP pick?
Give me. Oh boy, I'm trying to think of somebody that wouldn't be. Well, hell, I got the Lions in the Super Bowl. Give me Jared Goff.
Jared Goff gets your play. Jared Goff's plus 4,000, Riz. If I had to make the play, I would say Matthew Stafford, and that would stand to reason with me being high on the Rams for next year. Here's one who actually has shorter odds than Stafford. And I'm like, there's got to be a bounce back coming, but you don't know what's going to happen in Cincinnati, and that's Joe Burrow. He's plus 1,000, fourth lowest odds.
Justin Herbert right behind him at plus 1,100.
Herbert's 1,100. Yeah.
And Herbert will have, you think he have his 2 tackles back next year. Now the 2 guards in the center will probably get hurt knowing the Chargers, but Justin Herbert would be a pretty good play. Hell, he got 1 vote this year.
He did.
All right, fellas, anything else on Super Bowl 60?
That'll do it.
I think that was a solid NFL season. I think we could do much better, boys.
We will.
Well, I'd like to think so.
But I think we ended the year on a high note.
All right.
Hoping my futures play won't be eliminated in September.
Yeah, that would be a goal for next year.
So we're just baby stepping here.
Mm-hmm. All right, for Anthony, for Tim, my name is Riz. It's the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel.
We provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm gambling regulations in your state of residence. To participate in sports gaming, you must be 21 years of age or older and be physically present in a state where sports betting is legal. If you or someone you know has a sports betting or gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org for more information and further assistance.